To a higher open today as Japan's Nikkei responded to its worst day since 1987 by climbing 11%. All of this followed Monday's Wall Street sell-off.
Blame for the stock market gut punches being.
And good morning and welcome to the WSJM Morning Show. I'm Ken Lundberg. This is the video live stream. I'm joined in the studio this morning by Jim Granholm. Very good to see you. Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
How are you doing, sir?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing well. Did you vote yet?
Not yet.
Okay. You have till 8 o'clock tonight. The polls opened 1 minute ago.
Yeah.
And everyone's anxiously awaiting to see what the results are. And of course, we'll have all those results. We'll recap them here on the morning show tomorrow. But, I think some of the things that we asked you to come into the studio and talk about are sports related. We've got the biggest sporting event happening for how many days? The Olympics in Paris right now. But you have had a brush with the Olympics. And so we want to talk about that story and a bit more. But before we do all that, maybe introduce yourself briefly. Where did you come from? Where were you raised? And who is Jim Granholm?
Okay, so I'm from Elkhart, Indiana. My family always had a summer cottage over in Sawyer. So I've been coming up here for 60 years.
Nice.
For the summertime. I played high school basketball in Elkhart, Indiana. My high school team was 2 in the state and 10 in the nation in high school basketball.
Wow.
So we were a powerhouse in basketball. We had our starting lineup in high school was bigger than most colleges.
Wow.
And I don't say that jokingly. We are 6'10", 6'7", 6'5", 6'4", and 6'1". So when the college recruiters came in, they're like, "Holy cow! I got a starting lineup here. Just move them right over." But so yeah, and I my background is I ended up signing a scholarship to play at University of Florida coming out of high school. I wanted to get out of the snow belt and go into the Sun Belt, a little warmer climate. I did have just, I would say, a minor bout with frostbite, as a kid, just being outside all the time. And so when I was playing ball here, it always just seemed like it took me a little longer to get my hands and feet warmed up in that. So I just wanted to get out of the snow belt, went to the Sun Belt, played and started most of my freshman year at University of Florida, but my coach got fired.
Oh.
And I was also one of my top choices coming out of high school for basketball was Purdue. My 2 brothers went to Purdue, not as athletes, but so being from Indiana, I was basically decided I was going to transfer back to Purdue because they recruited me heavily as well.
Sorry about that.
The Purdue coach ended up resigning after taking Purdue to the Final Four and took the job at University of South Florida and said, "Hey, why don't you just join me down here?"
Wow.
So,
let's put a pin in it right there.
Okay.
I've got to make sure that we're still on the air here, and we'll come right back and continue the story in a moment. All right?
All right.
All right. Thank you. Just a minute. We'll be right back with more of this interview.
Why it was allowed to happen. Chuck Sievertson, ABC News.
Nissan says it's come up with what it dubs a cool paint designed to help keep people inside cars cooler. The engineers say it could keep interior temperatures down by 10 degrees. I'm Brian Clark, ABC News.
Hi, this is Congressman Bill Huizenga, and on August 6th, I'm asking for your vote in the Republican primary. With the price of food, gas, and mortgage payments soaring, it is clear that Bidenomics is failing, and we in Michigan are paying the price. As your voice in Congress, I have fought to lower energy prices and to stop big government from making your life more expensive. And I've introduced legislation to rein in the spending that is fueling inflation so we can make this an even better place to call home. I'm Bill Huizenga, candidate for Congress, and I approve this message, paid for by Huizenga for Congress.
The Midwest's largest youth fair, the Berrien County Youth Fair, is set for August 12th through the 17th, and as always, the fair is full of great family fun. Visit bcyf.org for more information and ticket sales for great grandstand shows like the Truck and Tractor Pulls on Sunday and Monday, 2 nights of musical entertainment with Randy Houser on Wednesday, and direct from Sweden, the music of ABBA on Thursday. The Demolition Derby crashes into town on Friday and crowd favorite Bull Mania on Saturday. Kids Day is Tuesday with 3 free Circus Continental shows. Ride wristband days are Tuesday through Saturday. Free attractions include a guide to the night sky and an inflatable planetarium. The Wonders of Birth building, highlights of the Berrien County family outing destinations in the Somewhere in Time building, and mall stage for free entertainment every day. Explore Planet Fair at the annual Berrien County Youth Fair, August 12th to the 17th in Berrien Springs, Michigan.
The Midwest's largest youth fair. The Berrien County Youth Fair.
From the Pat Moody Studios, this is News Talk Sports 94.9. WSJM FM Benton Harbor, St. Joseph. Depend on us. WSJM News now. Team coverage from the WSJM newsroom on News Talk Sports 94.9 WSJM.
And taking a look at some of the local news that we're covering from the WSJM newsroom today. It is primary election day. A number of candidates and millage questions are on the ballots across Southwest Michigan. Polling places open statewide from now until 8 o'clock this evening. According to the Michigan Secretary of State's office, more than 1 million Michigan voters have already cast their ballots in the primary election. The absentee ballot, that's about 59% of the absentee ballots that are out there, another 41% still to be delivered. Voters who have not yet filled out their ballot, or at least not yet dropped it off, don't put it in the mail. Don't put it in the regular mail. Put it in an official ballot drop box or hand deliver it to your local clerk's office. Again, polls remain open till 8 o'clock tonight. If you have any questions, go to michigan.gov/vote. The Michigan State Supreme Court ruling last week giving Michigan restaurant servers and related workers an increase in their minimum wage is a good thing. That's according to State Representative Joey Andrews. Starting February 25th, tipped workers will start to see that their paychecks will go up, at least earning more per hour as their wages start to rise to meet the minimum wage in Michigan.
I think it's a good change, and people can't afford to live on a minimum wage right now. My hope is that the conversation this is triggering gives us the opportunity to look at this kind of holistically and make these adjustments now. So,
using a phased-in approach, restaurant employees will start to see their minimum wage increase from the current $3.93 per hour to the full Michigan minimum wage by the year 2029. Currently, restaurant workers are paid the lower minimum wage because tips make up the difference and more in many cases. Michigan's minimum wage for non-tipped occupations is $10.33 per hour. Tipped workers will make 48% of the adopted minimum hourly wage, and that will increase to 60% by 2026. Andrews recognizes this could be a disadvantage to those who depend on the higher wages when tips are factored in, and he said his office will continue to work to make sure that all parties are heard.
we also want to work with our restaurants in the state and make sure, and the servers and hospitality staff, to ensure that we come up with a solution that works for everyone. You know, like I said, I think it's an opportunity to figure out how to make this system work and maybe hold bad actors accountable, find something good.
The court's decision is said to impact nearly 500,000 Michigan workers. And the Berrien County Sheriff's Department will be stepping up enforcement on the roadways this month as Labor Day approaches. Under Sheriff Greg Sanders tells us a drive sober or get pulled over high visibility enforcement campaign will start this weekend, this Saturday, and continue through September 2nd. This comes at a time when the Sheriff's Department has seen more drunk driving crashes in our area, and they say they want to quell that.
They have been up in Berrien County, and it's one of those things where we want to get the word out to everyone that's traveling to have that in the back of their mind. If they're drinking, have a designated driver.
Sanders says police will be out in force looking for intoxicated drivers, but that's not all. He says drugged driving is also a problem, think marijuana, although that's harder for officers to detect.
We just want to get the word out that it's not worth endangering other people's lives there. It is a severe penalty, possibly jail time.
Sanders says if you hurt someone while driving drunk, penalties will increase. He urges people to call for a ride when needed. The Sheriff's Department says if you spot a drunk driver, contact police immediately to help protect others. 73 degrees and raining. We had a little bit of lightning out back just a moment ago. It is the WSJM Morning Show, 7:10, and we'll check in with our guest in studio. Jim Granholm is here. He's talking a little bit about basketball himself and the Olympics. because we've got the Olympics happening in Paris right now. And then also we'll check in with Sarah Spoonholtz. She's here from the Southwest Michigan Regional Chamber, and we'll talk about some of the things they have going on as well, right here on the WSJM Morning Show.
Major League Baseball from Monday night. The Chicago White Sox have tied the American League record for the most consecutive long.
All right, and we're back on the video live stream for just a moment, and we were talking with Jim Granholm. And Sarah, we're going to put a pin in you for just a moment, so hold tight. Hold tight. Is it raining out there?
It is.
Oh, hang on a sec. Let me turn your microphone on. Okay, go again.
It was sprinkling. I did watch one
One thing of lightning?
one bolt.
Okay, one bolt. Very good. All right, hang on. That's all right. Well, thanks for coming into the studio. We appreciate it. But Jim, you were talking about, and the last thing that I remember, because then I had to focus on the clock for a second, was your coach got fired. There was another coach who said, "Why don't you come down and play for me?" So where are you at that point?
So
And then why did your coach get fired?
well, we didn't have a great year.
Oh, okay.
At University of Florida. So
All right.
actually we had lost. University of Florida just they won 2 national championships in basketball. It's a major college, and we lost to a Division II school.
Oh.
And when we lost to a Division II school in Florida as well, it didn't take long.
Yeah.
But the writing was on the wall and that. But anyhow, no, I was pretty much determined. Purdue was one of my top choices coming out of high school, and I was like, I'm going to come back and play for Purdue. And Coach left Purdue and took the job at University of South Florida and said, "Why don't you just join me down here?" So I did, and I was always interested in going to build a program rather than going to a tradition-rich program. And so I went down there, and we had a lot of success and fun down at University of South Florida in Tampa.
That's great. So then, so you're in college ball, and your eyes are probably looking at, what could I do in the NBA? Is that right?
Well, I would say more, I was 6'10" coming out of high school. Again, we were a top team in the country. I was heavily recruited. I think I was recruited by over 200 schools across the country, from UCLA to, from one ocean to the other.
Wow.
I could have chose whatever school I wanted to go play at. I thought, hey, I had the potential possibly to play professional basketball. So my eyes were on that, and I wanted to do everything I could to give myself that opportunity. So that's kind of where that led to.
How did that play out? At what point did you make a decision?
Well, it didn't make a decision. I mean, ultimately, whatever professional sport, whatever sport you play, the recruiters, they're out there. The scouts are watching. They know who the best players are, and who would fit in best with a team. So, I was being scouted quite a bit by the NBA teams, and so my senior year, I ended up being drafted by what now it's called the Washington Wizards. Back then, it was called the Washington Bullets.
That's right.
That was how that whole process worked.
Okay. All right. And when you first came in, I asked you, well, okay, you started, your NBA start was when you were drafted by the Bullets, but then you played for the Mavericks. But you said there were 4.
Well, this interview is, I think you said, we have maybe about 50 minutes, but we need probably, several hours just to give you the history. And, for some, it might be interesting. Some, it might be rather boring, but there's a long process in that whole thing. So I ended up being drafted by the Washington Bullets. I ended up being traded to the Houston Rockets. I signed as a free agent with the Orlando Magic, and I played for the Dallas Mavericks.
Wow.
But that didn't just all happen in 1 year or in a few months. That's during my whole career. So I had about a 9-year professional career, of which I spent 8 years in the international leagues as well. So this was a process of, hey, I went to Washington, and I, ended up deciding, hey, I didn't think I had a shot of playing for Washington. So I left and went and signed over in Europe, and then came back, and I said, all right, I'm gonna follow up with Washington. And they're like, hey, then I find out I come in after practice and found out I got traded to the Houston Rockets. And I was like, I didn't think anybody even knew who I was, let alone to get traded.
Wow.
So, I'm on my way to Houston, and it's just the fun ride of professional sports.
Is this commonplace where that kind of journey happens?
Commonplace. I mean, I like I said, I could tell a lot of stories, but if you put on the TV and watch any professional sports, you'll hear about people who are like, oh, they're a journeyman. They've played for several different teams. I played for several different teams in several different countries. I mean, it's not just that I was with 4 different NBA teams. So it is somewhat commonplace. I mean, for me, I was clawing and scratching, trying to get my way up there and stick and make it work. And I was willing to do whatever I needed to do it.
Yeah. Well, we feel fortunate to have you in studio this morning. We're going to talk a little bit about the Olympics, if that's all right, in a couple of minutes here. First, we've got to get some business out of the way. We've got a lot of business to talk about with the Southwest Michigan Regional Chamber, and we're going to get Sarah Spoonholtz to tell us about that in just a moment.
In the mid to upper 70s, but it's still going to feel very humid, especially as that boundary is moving through. Overnight, our temperatures drop to right around 60 degrees with decreasing clouds. Less humid, same temperatures though on Wednesday with lots of sun. I'm WSBT's Lynette Grant.
The Morning Show with Ken and Friends on 94.9 WSJM.
All right. We're having a fantastic conversation right now with Jim Granholm. He is a former professional basketball player, and also he was near the Olympics, and we'll talk about why we've got him in to talk about the Olympics in a few minutes. But first, we also have in the studio this morning, we're very fortunate to be joined by Sarah Spoonholtz, Southwest Michigan Regional Chamber. Hey, thanks for joining us, Sarah.
Hey, thanks for inviting me actually to come into studio.
Absolutely. The door is always open, and we promise
literally.
every single time will not be filled with lightning.
Thank you. I appreciate
As
that.
you pulled into the parking lot, you saw a bolt of lightning come down.
I did.
Yeah.
I was actually at the light at Union, and I was like, well, that looked awful close to the stations. Like, I've been here when that's happened before, Ken, and it's not necessarily the funnest. So
That's right. We're going to get back to our interview with Jim Granholm in just a moment. But first, give us an update. What's happening with the Chamber?
We have got a lot of really great stuff happening right now. Of course, the last couple of weeks, we've sent out multiple press releases. So thank you guys for running them. Everything from our 501c3s, the foundation, and Discover Southwest Michigan getting IRS approval. So we'll have some more work and some more information about the great things that we're doing with those coming up in the next couple of months. Last week, I shared the information that the Village of Stevensville has voted to move forward with a possible collaboration with Lincoln Township for a Chamber and Growth Alliance, or CGA, which will focus on economic development on the super local level, hyper local in terms of the village and the township respectively. And then we've got some really great events. We just partnered with the Columbus St. Joseph K-Way Holiday on Friday for their 50th anniversary celebration with Mark and Carla Lemoyne. So that was great. And then coming up, we have this Friday, Tri-County Head Start, their ribbon cutting for their new early childhood education center in Millburg. Very excited about it. This has been a collaboration, so to speak, with Countryside Academy. It was perfect. Countryside, of course, breaking ground and building their brand new elementary school at their Meadowbrook campus. And it opened up for Millburg to be available. Tri-County, of course, works with a lot of the lower income families. So they wanted to make sure that they were centrally located to best possibly serve the families that desperately need their assistance. And they don't just do preschool, but they do everything from, infants all the way up to preschool. So this center will be used for that. It's got multiple classrooms in it. And just what a great turnkey, if you will, to go from Countryside's elementary school to now Tri-County Head Start. Yeah. And they'll have a special announcement Friday during the ribbon cutting. So
what is it? What is it?
Nope.
You got to tell us.
No.
We won't tell anybody.
Yeah.
All right. So the ribbon cutting, they'll have a special announcement.
Yes. So the ribbon cutting will be at 3:00. The celebration will start at 3:00. The official ribbon cutting will happen at 3:30, which will include the special announcement that they have. And then 4 until 5, there'll be refreshments and then tours of the new building as well. So if you would like to come and join us, you are welcome to do so. The media is invited to come out an hour early, so you'll get that official information this
Sweet.
afternoon when I get back to the office.
Thank you.
But we're really excited about them and how they're going to continue to plant the seeds for the future.
Excellent.
So yeah, that's awesome. And then we've got business after hours on the 22nd with United Way of Southwest Michigan at their location over on Lakeview in the Margaret B. Upton offices. They've gone through a lot of change the last year or so, and a lot of people don't know what they do anymore. So this is a great way for us to highlight and showcase the United Way. And then on the 27th of August is our Next Gen Young Professionals outing.
right.
That's going to be at Sturgis Bank and Trust on Cleveland Avenue in St. Joe. It is open to families, so kids are definitely welcome. There's a rumor of a bounce house happening.
Oh, no.
So
Make sure it's pinned down.
yeah.
In case the gusty winds come back through.
Oh my gosh, yes. So we'll make sure that that's pinned down. They'll have some delicious foods and beverages available for appropriate for all ages, and just a lot of fun. A great opportunity for you to connect before the kids head back to school. And we've got more on the calendar. Looking forward to pretty much every month we have our business after hours booked through the remainder of the year, starting to book into next year as well. So it's going to be good stuff.
That's fantastic for the ribbon cuttings, for the business after hours, for the Next Gen, for anything that people want to get involved in. Where can they go to get more information?
Absolutely. Head to our website, smrchamber.com. You'll have opportunities to connect with myself, Jasmine, Arthur, Nancy, and Bridgman. You'll also get information about upcoming events for the chamber, upcoming member events, things that are happening in Southwest Michigan, because there's always something happening in Southwest Michigan. And then don't forget to follow us too on socials, Facebook, LinkedIn, X, and Instagram as well.
All those places.
All the places.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Sarah Spoonholtz from the Southwest Michigan Regional Chamber. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
We appreciate you. And
Yeah, absolutely.
You can hang out, or you can,
I might try and wait and see if this next
go get a
blast
cup of
rain
coffee or
is
something like
going
that.
to.
All right. Good enough. We're going to continue our interview with Jim Granholm. He's here to talk about some things related to sports, including the Olympics and his brush back in, was it 1980? 1984. Okay. Right after the boycotted Olympics. All right. We'll talk about that and more. It's right here on the WSJM Morning Show.
Hi, I'm George McManus, and I'm running in the Republican primary to be Berrien County's next drain commissioner. I've built my life here in Berrien County,
Okay, and we've got a couple of minutes here before we'll come back onto the main terrestrial radio, but on the video live stream, we'll continue our interview with Jim Granholm. All right, so I feel like we've gotten through college basketball. We've gone into NBA. You've omitted, I think, 6 hours worth of stories so that we could fit this into our time slot here. But at what point during your professional career do the Olympics get on your radar?
Actually, they would have been on my radar prior.
Even prior, when you're still in college.
Because they weren't professionals weren't
allowed to play. That's
so
right.
Really, my touch with I was selected to play on the U.S. national team in 1982.
Okay.
So I was still in college, and I was selected to play. It was a non-Olympic year. So you mentioned they boycotted in 1980,
right,
or we boycotted in 1980. Every year, whether it was an Olympic year or not. So you had the Olympics, then you had the Pan Am Games. So you also had 2 other years there between, because it's a 4-year cycle. We always formed U.S. national teams in every sport. So we went and competed internationally. So I was selected on a non-Olympic year. And interesting enough, that team was Michael Jordan and John Paxson. And we had a powerhouse. We actually talk about really interesting is the year we boycotted the Olympics in basketball, Yugoslavia won the gold medal. So when I was selected in 82, we went over to celebrate the 50th anniversary of FIBA, Federation of International Basketball. We played 2 games, one in Geneva, Switzerland, one in Budapest, Hungary. By the way, the first U.S. team that was allowed behind the Iron Curtain, which was an interesting story in itself.
No kidding.
But we went and played the European All-Stars, which is literally the best player from Russia, Yugoslavia, all these countries. I mean, people now realize how good these international players are, but we didn't go play an international. We played the international also, and we got beat.
Yeah.
But the real kind of, I call it the covert action of what our team was, is we went and celebrated all this big, and all the all the celebration of 50th anniversary of FIBA. Then we went over to Yugoslavia, kind of under the radar, and said, "Hey,
you want to play a
you
little
wanna
pickup
play?
game?
Let's play. Congratulations on your gold medal, but we're coming over and we'll play you." And we went over to Yugoslavia and beat them on their home court. And so it was kind of like, and that was like the mission. I mean, you talk about serious USA basketball, and all the delegates and our ambassador and everybody else were like, "Hey, have fun with this 50th anniversary of FIBA, but we get over there to Yugoslavia, we got to deliver a message."
That's
you
something
know?
else.
So
And you
that was
did.
interesting in itself.
That's fascinating. All right. Okay. So we're going to catch up on the air in just a moment. We're listening to the Bloomberg Market Minute there. And then when we come out of that, we'll continue this interview on WSJM. And we're continuing our interview. If you miss any portion of it, because we haven't had the whole thing on the air here, you can listen to it and watch it on our Facebook page and on our YouTube page. We stream every day, weekdays from 7 to 8 a.m. on YouTube and Facebook. Sometimes we do it on X, but I think they raised their rates recently. Elon Musk has to pay for a new rocket or something like that. But we've got Jim Granholm in the studio this morning, and he's educating me on sports. And, well, that's going to take a long time. So you got a few hours. But no, we're talking about the Olympics and the Pan Am Games. And when you're in college, the games, the USA team gets on your radar. How did you first get involved with those games?
Same thing I did with college. I didn't get involved. They find
involved you.
You know, no matter what sport you're playing, when you look at all these Olympic teams,
yes,
the cream of the crop comes to the top. I mean, literally, they're looking for the best athletes that can compete at the top level.
So it's not a walk-on type situation.
No.
There's a USA team scout team probably, and they're watching.
Basically, so like I'm I think it was 84. So I actually was nominated for the U.S. Olympic team, men's basketball. Now, nominated doesn't get me very far, other than some out there that are part of the selection committee thought that I was worthy enough to be considered.
Okay.
That's as far as I got. I got considered. I wasn't then selected. But the way the process went is you were nominated, then they took all those, and I don't know how many were nominated, which they considered the best players to be able to put together the best team.
Right.
Remember, we're all amateurs at this point. So this was before we started going, allowing professionals into the sport. So you were nominated, and then ultimately there was a selection committee that selected who out of those nominees. So let's say they out of 50 or 100 players, they selected 20 or 25. Then they bring in 20 or 25, and then they'd have like a tryout. And the tryout was more of, you're looking not just for the best players, you're looking for the chemistry of the team. So if you want to talk about the Olympics now or the dream team or whatever, it's not always just let's get the best players. You want to put together the best team. It's not an individual sport. So you're trying to figure out how to get the chemistry right. So then that's how the process goes. You're nominated, then you're selected, then you got to try it, then you got to make the team, and then the coach goes ahead and puts together the team and the chemistry and the lineups and so on and so forth. So that's how that process works.
That's amazing. And so at some point you're nominated, and you were not selected, but then you also continued to play for the U.S. in other venues, the Pan Am Games, for instance.
Well, no, I was nominated for both the Pan Am Games and the Olympic team, but I was selected on the 1982 U.S. national team.
National team. Okay.
So it's basically the same thing, except it's a non-Olympic or non-Pan Am year.
Okay.
So remember, those are every 4 years. So, but every year in every sport, they're putting together the the U.S. national teams because we're always competing in international competition. It's just not. It wasn't the Olympic year or Pan Am year.
Yeah. So still amateurs, and also on your team, Michael Jordan. So
Right.
you and Michael Jordan, and you said John Paxson.
John Paxson, yeah, a number of other guys, but yeah, we were all selected on that particular non-Olympic year. Now, Jordan was also nominated, selected, made the team, and was our Olympic star for I think the '84 Olympic team, and then beyond that, the Dream Team. But that particular year, we were selected and for the team.
Yeah. How was that team?
Oh, it was incredible. I mean, I we went over and competed, played the Yugoslavian team that won the Olympics the year we boycotted, and we beat them on their home court. So it was kind of like, hey, congratulations on your gold medal, but understand who the best in the world is. This kind of was our way of approaching it.
Where now is forgive me, but at the time, are they behind the Iron Curtain still?
We went and played in the 50th anniversary of FIBA on that same team, which was behind there. I don't remember where Yugoslavia was on that. But,
did you feel at all? It's like, okay, maybe the Soviets are behind us here and waiting for us to get into the locker room after we beat their team here.
No, but I'll tell you what, it was a little strange. I mean, like when we played in Hungary and knowing we were the first U.S. team behind the Iron Curtain playing,
Right.
I mean, first of all, it was like unbelievable because they rolled out the red carpet for us.
Okay.
Like literally, each one of us has our own room, like a hotel room, but it's like a 3-bedroom apartment, each player on the Danube River between Buda and Pest. and we go into our hotel rooms, and there's Hungarian cash on the bed and gifts galore. They just splashed us with just
cash on the bed.
Well, because we weren't allowed to exchange money because it was behind the Iron Curtain.
Got it.
So they're like, hey, we want to welcome the USA team, and here's something you can actually go out and buy something.
Yeah, here's your per
you can't
diem for
use
the
your
day.
money.
Yeah,
So it was, anyhow, it was just really cool experience.
That's
but
amazing.
it also was a little strange too, because when you land and see the runway lined with military with machine guns. I mean, where I'm not used to that, and getting off the plane and seeing, I'm like,
yeah,
it was not something we were used to.
You knew they were there. You knew there was a different control mechanism than what you were
and even
accustomed
when
to.
we went out and they took us for a tour, and we got our cameras out, and all of a sudden the guns are knocking on the window. Put your cameras down. You can't take pictures of this stuff, and it was like, yeah.
All right, we're going to continue our conversation with Jim Granholm. He's here joining us today to talk about some basketball, and we'll get your views on the current Olympics, and we'll get you out of here on time. I promise, because he's got an appointment to get to in the rain and all that other stuff. It's the WSJM morning show. We've got the live stream going as well, news, and then we'll be back with more of this interview. And taking a look at some of the local news from our WSJM newsroom, it's primary election day. A number of candidates and some millage questions are on the ballots across Southwest Michigan. Polling places today open statewide from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m., that is. And as the primary election is upon us, Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel says she's been working to ensure election integrity. We'll have some comments from her during her recent visit to St. Joseph. We'll have that here in just a few moments. Also, St. Joseph Township officials last night approving their updated 2024 master plan. The blueprint for long-range planning around the township's vision, goals, and policies was approved unanimously. For some of the things that they're looking at in transportation, among the goals to improve east-west mobility within the township. For economic development, the plan calls for providing additional access to goods and services at key locations, making them accessible to residents within a 20-minute walkable distance. And the plan also calls for exploring free internet options in public spaces. So we'll tell you more about that coming up at 8 o'clock as well. We've got our interview with Jim Granholm continuing in just a moment. We've got sports from Dave Wolf and this look at news from around the state. All right. And continuing our interview for a couple minutes here on the video live stream before we get back to the radio. When you are playing basketball, is it different to go to a different country than it is? Compare that to your college of you're going to different schools, maybe schools you've never been to before. When you're playing in Europe, how different is it?
Oh, it's hugely different for a number of reasons. I mean, now if you're talking about on the U.S. national team going over and playing international competition we were together for a month on our U.S. national team. When I went over and played professionally overseas in Europe, you live over there. Yeah. So it's a big difference between learning the culture and everything involved with it. And whether you're playing on either scenario, international basketball is a different game than the college or even the NBA.
How
The
so?
rules are different. It's a much more physical game. I just had a discussion with a guy of all things on the beach this weekend that's a big basketball fan, and he had also played a little bit in the international leagues, and he said, wow, they just call all these little ticky-tack fouls. I said, yeah, in some ways they call these ticky-tack fouls, and the other way they'll let you beat the tar out of each other, and they don't call anything. If you watch the last USA Olympic game, the USA, who were they playing? But, there were a couple times LeBron got just decked.
Oh, dear.
The same with Steph Curry. They went down. There was no foul. But at the same time, all of a sudden you do a little something that's like, are you kidding me? I just got tackled. You didn't call a foul. Now but it's just a whole different game. It's a style of game. It's the way that they play. It's a faster paced game. It's, in the international game, you can, and I say goaltend, meaning once the ball hits the rim, you can knock the ball off the rim. In the United States, both in college and the NBA, once the ball hits the rim, it's got to be outside of the cylinder before you can grab it.
Okay.
But there's just a lot of little.
So you can, if it's going down, you can grab it back
If it
out.
hits the rim, you can grab it or knock it out. And it took me it takes a while to learn that because you've grown up playing the game in a certain way, and now you got to learn a little bit of some changes in the rules.
So you played for how many teams in Europe?
I played for 4 different countries in Europe, so
Wow.
I probably played for 6 or 7 different teams in the international leagues. I play, of all things, the Olympics are in France. I played 3 years in the French league, so I know France well, and I played in Dijon, France, the mustard capital of the world, which is 1 hour from Paris.
Yeah.
So I played in Paris. I played in all these venues that we're looking at.
So which countries? You played in France.
Started out in the French league, then I went to the Swiss league, then I went to the Italian league, then went back to the French league, then went back to the Italian league, then back to the NBA, then I went over and played in the Romanian league.
You love basketball.
Well, you know what? I tell people, I was able to buy a house and do things. I did all that without working a day of my life, although it's not as
work.
easy as it sounds. But,
Yeah. How tall are you today?
I tell people, I give you the sarcastic answer. I tell people I'm 6'13". But I don't anymore. I don't measure myself. So at the peak when I was playing, I was 7'1".
Yeah.
I'm probably, as I've gotten older, my arches flatten out a little bit. I'm probably 7 foot tall.
You could wear pumps.
Yeah.
Something like that. No, that's and you've played center, any other position?
Actually, I never really played center.
Really?
I was pretty much what would be considered a small forward, which isn't meaning small, but it's more of the position, a 3-4. I was an outside shooter, scorer, slasher type of player. I wasn't an inside Shaquille O'Neal type of player.
Yeah.
I was an outside player.
So for those who don't know, like me, how many people from the United States are in the European leagues at any given time? Like percentage wise, are there a lot?
I can answer that easy. So in the top leagues in the international leagues, a European team are allowed 2 foreign players per team.
Okay.
Now, the rules have changed a little bit because now there's ways guys have gotten dual passports and different things. But for the most part, through my whole career, 2 foreign players. Now, wasn't always Americans. Sometimes we'd have a Brazilian player, different players from a different country, because in the French league, 2 foreign players. If they could be Americans, they could be from somewhere else.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
you were allowed 2 foreign players. And, it was incredible too, though, in the international, is these guys that I went over to play when I played in the international leagues are all guys that were either former NBA players or college All-Americans. And I mean, it was like every day, you didn't get a break. You had to go against, because there weren't that many jobs for Americans.
Yeah. What, let's see. Oh, okay. We got to check that thing. All right. I've got to go check and see what the EAS receiver is telling us. It's probably something about the weather. So we'll be right back in just a moment.
Time building and mall stage for free entertainment every day. Explore Planet Fair at the annual Berrien County Youth Fair, August 12th to the 17th in Berrien Springs, Michigan.
The Midwest's largest youth fair. The Berrien County Youth Fair.
Are you ready to connect to your future? Lake Michigan College has what you need. Their academic offerings span various disciplines, including business, health sciences, engineering, arts, humanities, and much more. With small class sizes and personalized attention, you'll receive the individualized support you need to excel in your studies. Join their community of learners and experience the transformative power of education. Connect to your future today. Visit lakemichigancollege.edu.
Got a sprinkler system in your yard? Then you know the benefits. Really green grass, despite the summer sun. Fresh-looking landscape, vibrant plants. But if your sprinkler system needs work, it's time to get creative.
I'm Ryan from Creative Landscaping. Without regular water, the best landscaping plan won't last for long. That's why we offer full service on sprinklers and irrigation systems. Installation, repairs, troubleshooting, spring turn-on, winterizing. At Creative, we do it all. Learn more at creativelandscapinginc.com.
Creative Landscaping and Design, making landscapes greener since 1976.
Hi, this is Congressman Bill Huizenga, and on August 6th, I'm asking for your vote in the Republican primary. With the price of food, gas, and mortgage payments soaring, it is clear that Bidenomics is failing, and we in Michigan are paying the price. As your voice in Congress, I have fought to lower energy prices and to stop big government from making your life more expensive. And I've introduced legislation to rein in the spending that is fueling inflation so we can make this an even better place to call home. I'm Bill Huizenga, candidate for Congress, and I approve this message, paid for by Huizenga for Congress.
From ABC News Tech Trends, Perplexity bills itself as an artificial intelligence search engine.
Essentially, technology that they use that interfaces with off-the-shelf large language models to serve up plain language answers to the kind of questions you would put into a traditional search engine like Google.
But Wired director Tim Marchman says the company recently found itself in trouble for not properly attributing its sources or misattributing them. As part of a raft of changes in response to the controversy, Perplexity is now striking deals with publishers like Time and Der Spiegel.
With this deal, Perplexity would have the right to surface content from these publishers in response to queries and advertise against it.
Perplexity would then split the ad revenue with those publishers, but there are still a lot of open questions, not the least of which is
they don't actually have an advertising model. When you use the site right now, there are not ads served against anything that comes up.
With Tech Trends, I'm Mike Dubusky, ABC News.
Summer is heating up, just like the deals at Omaha Steaks. From perfectly aged steaks to juicy burgers, Omaha Steaks is your summer grilling headquarters. Shop the Hotter Than Fire sale at omahasteaks.com for exclusive, unconditional money-back guaranteed packages starting at $99. Plus, get an extra $10 off with promo code QUALITY at checkout. Visit omahasteaks.com, code QUALITY for an extra $10 off. Shop the Hotter Than Fire sale today before these deals go up in smoke.
Omaha Steaks, America's original butcher.
Offer not valid in all states or where prohibited by law. Loans are subject to lender approval. See website for details.
Honey, the credit card bill came, and we're maxed out.
Maxed out cards, rent is due. We just need some extra cash to help us get by.
Maybe we should go to 27cash.com.
With our bad credit?
27cash.com is one of the largest personal loan networks. They can help people with any type of credit get up to $5,000, and cash can hit our bank account as soon as tomorrow.
When you need extra cash, go to 27cash.com. That's 27cash.com. 27cash.com.
The Morning Show with Ken and Friends on 94.9 WSJM.
All right, and as you heard just a moment ago during the emergency alert that we had, the National Weather Service in Grand Rapids has issued a tornado warning for southern Van Buren County in southwestern Michigan. Again, that is coming up until 8:30 this morning. So apparently some tornadic activity causing some great concern there. So do be safe, do be cautious. At 7:38 this morning, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located near Hartford, about 11 miles north of Dowagiac, moving east at 35 miles per hour. So they've got some radar indicated rotation there. The hazard they're looking at is a tornado, so they're asking you to take shelter now. So again, the danger storm will be near Decatur in just about right now, as a matter of fact. Other locations in the path of the tornadic activity include Lawton. So again, if you're in southern Van Buren County right now and you're still listening to this, do take some shelter because there is a tornado warning in that area. Either one has been spotted or indicated on their radars. So that is happening right now. We're continuing our interview with Jim Granholm. He is a former professional basketball player, and he's been kind and generous with his time this morning to talk to us a little bit about what happens with basketball players and the Olympics. And are you watching the Olympics right now?
Yes.
What are you watching?
Yeah, basketball.
You're not watching dressage or badminton or?
Well, actually, I watch
They're
it
fun.
all.
Yeah.
I mean, I think gymnastics. I don't watch a lot of swimming or the all the racing except for the Olympics. So I watch it all. It's exciting and interesting.
We were watching the diving last night, and I cringe every time they're on the high platforms and they do the backflips, because from the angle of the camera, it looks like they're going to hit their head on the diving boards.
It's all really exciting. The Olympics is exciting. I really don't care what sport you are watching. I mean, it's interesting.
Best of the best.
Exciting, yeah.
Yeah, it is exciting. And I have to ask you this question. Do they play defense in professional basketball in the United States anymore? Have you noticed that?
Well, the game's changed, really. It just keeps changing.
Yeah.
It's gone from being a more of an inside dominated game to now more of a shooter's game, with Steph Curry and a lot of the 3-point shooting. So, it's just changed a lot.
Yeah. I want to give you an opportunity. I know we have to get you out of here on time today, but an opportunity. You are part of Southwest Michigan. You have a business here. Talk a little bit about that. What is it and what do you do?
Oh, I have a couple businesses. So one business that I own is called Green Earth Electronics Recycling. So we do computer IT asset recovery. We do for a lot of businesses in that. Manage making sure that their hard drives and confidential information is removed and destroyed. And so we offer those services as well. We're right off Niles Road. We do also the recycling events for Berrien County as far as electronics and that. So that particular company. And then I also own an industrial asset company that deals with industrial assets, manufacturing, industrial surplus, things of that sort, robotics.
Oh.
And that's located in between Bridgman and Baroda.
Okay.
So recovering a lot of unwanted equipment and try the best way to recycle is always find a way to reuse. So our focus is, hey, is there a way to repurpose it and then whatever else gets properly disassembled and removed so it can be recycled. So I think last year we kept almost 2 million pounds of electronics out of the landfills.
Wow. How in the world did you get involved in that business?
Oh, that would need another day probably, and
All right.
certainly several more hours.
If people, I want to ask you that for Moody on the Market at some point. We'll do an article on you.
Okay.
And but tell us just a little bit about what are the trends that you're seeing with electronics? It seems to me that people are disposing of electronics a lot faster than they ever had before.
Well, I can tell you, electronics. When I started the company 15 years ago, the U.S. government, not anybody else's, said that Americans were landfilling 187,000 computers a day. Landfilling.
Wow.
So electronics is the fastest growing segment of refuse in the world right now, worldwide. And for what you said, it's not that things don't work. It's just technology changes and people want the newest, best thing.
Yeah.
So it's a problem. And we've got, that's how and why I created this business, is realizing there was a problem. When you can create a solution to a problem, it's a good thing. So, when we kept that much electronics out of the landfills and, we charge for certain things like destroying and shredding hard drives and different things like that. We're not a non-for-profit, but we do try to create opportunities to help facilitate people doing the right things and putting things back either for reuse or recycling.
Yeah. And reduce, reuse, recycle.
Right.
Is that a good
exactly.
mantra?
Yeah, that's it. You
All
got
right.
it.
Last question before we let you go. Favorite basketball experience?
Favorite basketball experience?
Kind of if you think about it from a golf standpoint, your comeback shot.
Oh, I mean, I'll again probably need another hour or so on that because I mean, I could talk about, just playing, with Michael Jordan was an experience in itself. I mean, I like to tell people all the time, people say, well, what was it like playing with Michael Jordan? Well, they had just won he was a freshman in college and just won the national championship at North Carolina. We had just played them on national TV.
Wow.
It was the beginning of the ESPN era.
Yeah.
So we had just played Michael Jordan. We were a top 25 team at University of South Florida, played them at North Carolina, and we held them to a 45-point victory. They just squeaked out their victory.
You held them to a 45 points victory
on national TV. This was supposed to be a competitive game.
Wow.
But just funny story is, so I'm selected on the U.S. national team, and we're having training camp at Vanderbilt University in Nashville. And I fly in, I get to the hotel, and Michael Jordan comes out to greet me and says, sticks out his hand and says, hey, Michael Jordan, good to meet you. He says, you look familiar to me. But, you talk about the person, he knew exactly who I was, and he was rubbing in the fact that he beat us by 45 on national
That's amazing.
TV.
That's great.
Yeah.
That'd be a heck of an experience. You can stay in touch with him?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
can I have a cell phone number
every day, but I've seen him periodically, and we connect.
Okay. Well, here, I'll leave you a pen, and you can write down his cell phone number for me.
Okay.
I've got some questions. Actually, Magic Johnson's coming to LMC later this month.
I know that. Yeah.
Are you going to? Well,
Yeah,
we'll talk.
I got stories with Magic Johnson because I actually was in the game where Magic Johnson, we were playing the Lakers when he set the assist record.
No kidding.
I didn't get in that game, but it was interesting, funny story in itself is they stopped the game because he set the assist record, and then he hugged everybody on his team and everybody on our team. And I had my warm-ups on. He hugs me, and I'm like, what do I tell the guy? I didn't even get in the game, but he hugged me,
We would love to have you back and talk more about some of these stories because this is amazing. We appreciate you.
Well, thank you.
Jim Granholm, one of Southwest Michigan's. We're going to claim you now. I know you were raised in Elkhart, but we'll claim you. And you've got your business here 15 years strong. So if people want more information about technology recycling, where should they go?
Greenearth1.com, www.greenearth1.com.
All right. Thanks for joining us this morning. And be careful out there in the weather. Again, a tornado warning in South Van Buren County, Hartford, and Lawton areas. We'll talk more about that and other things on the WSJM Morning Show next.
Every morning, Sheriff Chuck Hite wakes up on a mission to keep Berrien County safe, a mission to serve his community. It's been that way for more than 30 years. Former Sheriff Paul Bailey had this to say about Chuck Hite. Chuck Hite has served with honor as the undersheriff for 20 years, and I have personally witnessed his hard work and dedication. He is by far the most qualified person to serve Berrien County as sheriff. He is a man of strong faith and integrity. Chuck Hite not only has the experience, he's on the job improving healthcare in the jail, working with local partners to make our streets safer so our communities can grow. It's why police chiefs and first responders across Berrien County have endorsed Chuck Hite for sheriff. They know what people across Berrien County have seen for decades: a dedicated public servant, a family man with deep roots in our community.
I'm Chuck Hite, and I approve this message and ask for your vote by absentee, early vote, or on Tuesday, August 6th.
Rich Brand and Tara Halsey from Insurance Management Service, your local auto owners insurance.
Just trying to reach our person up in South Haven right now. That was a good interview. A great guest to have in, Jim Granholm. Now, I'm sure he's probably on the air right now. Anyway, a National Weather Service had put out an alert effective until 8:30 this morning for tornado warning for southern Van Buren County in Southwest Michigan. So do be careful of that, and we'll talk about that more in a moment. But at 7:38 this morning, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was spotted located near Hartford. about 11 miles north of Dowagiac. It was moving east at 35 miles per hour at the time. Looks like it was in the area of Decatur, or is going to be in the area of Decatur very soon. Right now, it's at Rowley School. At 8:06 this morning, it's going to be near the Decatur High School area. That wind direction and speed, the most intense, and they're watching that until 8:30 this morning. So again, we'll have more on that in just a moment. It's the WSJM Morning Show. Well, thank you once again, Jim Granholm, for coming into the studios and sharing your experiences with us, talking a little bit about the Olympics, about the Pan Am Games, about the NBA, about the international leagues, and more. Again, if you are in southern Van Buren County right now, you're dealing with a lot of severe weather. There's a tornado warning for southern Van Buren County at 7. It lasts until 8:30 this morning. Right now, where the focus is on Decatur, there's a lot of severe winds in that area. It looks like it's heading about 35 miles per hour east-southeast. So if you're in the areas of Decatur, Antwerp, Marcellus, again, about 11 miles north of Dowagiac, some severe storm activity right there. At 7:38 this morning, just a few minutes ago, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located near Hartford, moving east at 35 miles per hour. The radar did indicate some rotation, and it will be a dangerous storm. About Decatur, they're saying that flying debris will be dangerous to those caught without shelter, so they're advising you to seek shelter immediately in that area. Mobile homes will be damaged or destroyed, damage to roofs, windows, and vehicles. Tree damage is likely. That's what they say that happens with a tornado warning. So that's their standard language there, but do be cautious and take that into account. Again, that tornado warning for southern Van Buren County is in effect until 8:30 this morning. It is the WSJM Morning Show, and we've got the Moody on the Market update. And there was an article that I posted on there this morning. Let me pull it up real quick. And this was celebrating a gentleman who has been in business as an optometrist, for a doctor of optometry, I should say, for 40 years. Dr. Robert Flood. And at moodyonthemarket.com, you can see that article. Hang on a sec. And your Moody on the Market update is brought to you by Insurance Management Service. You can call IMS today, your local auto owner's insurance agency in St. Joseph and in Niles. And to hear Dr. Robert Flood talk about his career, you hear someone appreciative, excited, and still amazed at the entire journey. As a doctor of optometry, Flood has been practicing in Southwest Michigan for the past 40 years and traveled the world helping people with their eye care. And Friday, August 16th, will be Flood's last day in the office. He's retiring, and as I wrote here, taking with him enough memories to last several lifetimes. And so we go through his early life. We talk about his focus on higher education, college, and then his career. He built his own office. This is a Renaissance man. He is somebody who, if something intrigues him and interests him, he will endeavor to do his best to be the best at that. He told me he got punched by a bully. He got beat up by a bully once, and he said, never more. And he rearranged his life. He started taking karate and became a black belt. So, I mean, and it just keeps on going on and on through that. He went to the Olympics in 96. Yeah, the 1996 Olympics. Bausch & Lomb, the vision care company, recruited him and a whole bunch of other doctors to go make sure that the Olympiads were taken care of for their eye needs, whether it was a lost contact lens or an infection or some sort of injury. They were all on standby for that. So you can read the article. It's at moodyonthemarket.com. I had fun writing it. It's right there. And the Moody on the Market update is brought to you by Insurance Management Service. Call IMS today. They are your local auto owner's insurance agency in St. Joseph and in Niles. And we appreciate you being part of the WSJM Morning Show. Again, in southern Van Buren County right now, some severe winds, some tornadic activity has been detected, and we do have a tornado warning in that area right now. That's issued by the National Weather Service. It's in effect until 8:30 this morning. Decatur and Antwerp, it's been through Lawrence, but it's moving east. Schoolcraft is in a potential area of concern. So be aware of that as it continues to move east and hopefully dies down soon. We'll have more on that and other things in the news. It is the WSJM Morning Show. We are looking right now. Let's see what the temperature is here locally. We're looking at 73 degrees in Benton Harbor, 74 in St. Joseph. Up in South Haven, where they've been dealing with a lot of lightning activity as well, it's 74 degrees. News right now from ABC. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for joining us on the WSJM Morning Show. We've got another EAS alert coming in just a moment, so stay tuned for that. That ends the live stream. Thanks for joining us.
Taxpayer-funded